Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 49. I'm your host, Pam, and today we're going to be talking about silencing your inner critic. Before we get started, if you're enjoying this podcast, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to read a quick review. It helps us reach more listeners. It helps us reach more like-minded people. So if you haven't already, take 30 seconds and just give us a quick 5-star review. We totally appreciate it. So getting started here, first things first, I want us to be direct. If you're listening to this episode, you are already aware that there is a little voice in your head, and that little voice is the voice that you spend most of your time with. That little voice is the voice that's responsible for every success and every failure. And what I mean by that is, if you've recently succeeded in something, you know that you've probably told yourself, go ahead, look at you, and you patted yourself back with that little voice. And you also know that if you made a mistake, you might have beat yourself up a little bit. You were like, that was silly. How could you do that? Why'd you do that? And I know that last week we talked about mastering your inner dialogue. We talked about, getting started with those conversations and maybe filtering in to some of that. And this week I want to talk about silencing that inner critic. I want you to know that you're not always going to be in a winning state. You're not always going to be in a season of winning. There are seasons for winning and there are seasons for growing and learning. Never really a season for losing, because when you make a mistake, you still attempted. And so that puts you in a place of being ahead already, because you're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. And I want to also let you know that it is totally possible for you to silence that inner critic. You see, we're already in a space in the world that we are getting constant negativity from others. I'm currently reading a book by Mel Robbins, and it's called The Let Them Theory. And she talked about how often she felt like people around her were criticizing her, or they were criticizing what she was doing, and all of that kind of thing. And I'm here to remind you that the world is going to always offer that. And you silencing your inner critic is also your way of rebelling against being like everyone else. And also it is a great way for you to take charge. Again, the world is always going to have its own negativity, and people are always going to have their outlook and things. So why would you want to add to that with your own inner critic? Someone is always going to have something to say about what it is that you're doing. So why not take it upon yourself to say, all right, be quiet, I got it from here. And I have to say this, that silencing your inner critic comes with emotional maturity. Realize that I said emotional maturity, not that it comes with age and not that it comes with time. No matter what phase you're currently in your life, in your career, in being a parent, becoming a parent, being a stay-at-home parent, etc., I want you to know that that is temporary. If you're in a positive place right now, in a positive season, that is temporary. If you're in a rough place right now, that is also temporary. Again, the point is to not always be winning, but to be fully present wherever you are. So now that we've aligned a little bit with this, and we've kind of talked about this inner critic and silencing a little bit, I want to give you guys a couple of suggestions, or maybe some examples of silencing that inner critic, and how you can continue to, when you silence that inner critic, you can continue to keep it quiet. And number one, be real with yourself. Understand that you have hard limitations and you have self-imposed limitations, and learning the difference between them. A hard limitation is recognizing that right now in this moment, you've never lifted anything above 10 pounds and you're not going to squat 2,000 pounds or 200 pounds. You're not going to that. That is a hard limitation. It just physically cannot happen right now. Realize that I said right now. Don't, just go forward in life and say, I could never lift 200 pounds, because that's not true. That's a self-imposed. You can work on that. You can strengthen your muscles. Never say things like allowing your inner critic saying, you haven't read in 6 months. What makes you think that you're going to pick up a book now and finish it and get anything from it? The misconception is that just because you haven't done it up until this point that you never could. Recognize, be real with yourself that a hard limitation can be temporary and it can be worked on, whereas a self-imposed one is something that you keep telling yourself that you can't do, that inner critic is trying to stop you from doing. Number 2, take the shot. Take the shot every time. No, you're not going to make all of them, but you will miss every single one that you don't take. And I know that sounds cliche, but it serves as a reminder that when you ask the question, when you reach out for advice, when you comment on the video of someone that maybe you respect them in their craft, or you message someone that you respect in their craft and say, hey, I had a question, or maybe even attend a certain event where someone that you admire is going to be, or maybe you want to speak on a TED stage. Maybe you could go to a few of those TEDx speeches and participate and be there and be in the room. Take the shot. The shot shows your inner critic that you're taking the steps to move in that direction. It puts you in a position to be leading with strength, to lead from the front. Number 3, be consistent. If you've ever lost weight or been to the gym, you know that putting on weight or losing weight comes from a consistent thing that you're doing. If you're losing weight or putting on weight, putting on muscle, you recognize that you have to work out a certain amount of time, you have to lift a certain amount of time, you have to do a certain amount of cardio, and you have to intake a certain amount of protein every day at all times. Maybe not forever, but definitely for a consistent amount of time. Doing this shows your inner critic that you can. Again, it shows your inner critic that, you know what? I've already done this. I already did it yesterday. I already did it 3 times this week. Let's go for a 4th. It takes the power from your inner critic when you show it consistency. Number 4, surround yourself with what it is that you're looking to accomplish. I have mentioned this a few times on this podcast that I like to make a vision board every year. And I like to surround myself with pictures of the things that I want to attain. With the woman that I am becoming, I want to see her on this vision board. I want to see what I want my relationships to look like, the finances, the different little goals, the trips. I like to surround myself with those kinds of things. Maybe you're looking to be more organized. Maybe you're looking to just have a better setup for yourself. Maybe you want to reduce clutter. So surround yourself with things that are going to put you in that mindset. You're going to pave that road for yourself so that when you hit a bump, you can refer back to what it is that you're trying to do, instead of allowing your inner critic to say, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're doing. And is this easy? Is it easy to surround yourself with these things and be consistent and take your shot and just be honest with yourself? No. But you're listening to You the Boss podcast. You are the boss. You're the boss of whatever it is you want to accomplish. You know how to look out for yourself. When you surround yourself with like-minded things, like-minded people, your critic begins to develop the voice of why not me? That why not me mindset. It won't have a choice but to level you up. Number 5, And maybe this one could have been number one, to be honest, but stop listening. Number 5 is stop listening. Immediately begin to ignore the critic. Immediately begin to just, you know what? I'm unfollowing. I'm unsubscribing. I'm blocking. Don't continue to allow this inner critic to speak another word into your universe, into your life, into your career, into your marriage, into your relationships, into whatever it is that you are in a current phase of struggling with. Don't allow this voice to continue to speak. Stop listening to it. The truth is that critic isn't even your voice. It is just like a pileup of a bunch of other voices. It's because someone told you once that maybe you couldn't do that, and maybe that's what you refer to now. And while that is unfortunate, again, you're a boss. You need to take that by the horns, and you need to handle that. It was never something that was yours. It was never an original intention of you telling yourself you couldn't do that. Someone told you that you couldn't do that. Someone down the line. You probably don't even remember who told you this. So just choose to stop listening. Choose to stop letting this inner critic tell you what you can and can't wear, what you can and can't do. In closing, this is your reminder that being a boss involves deep work. You have to shut things down. You have to create boundaries. This happens on a day-to-day basis. No, it's not easy. No, it's not comfortable. But also living the life that you want to live, creating the life of your dreams, creating those pictures from that vision board, creating those little screenshots of things that you want to accomplish, that comes in the day-to-day details. And that starts with your mindset, and more specifically, silencing your inner critic and remembering who you are, always. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.